Alright guys, Dizzy here with the second phase of version 2.0 coming up in a few days. Sparkles will be making her appearance. Alright, at this point you might be asking for yourself, should I pull for her? Do I really need her? I personally have been asking myself this question as well, and partly why I'm making this video is to sort out my own thoughts regarding Sparkle, and in turn I hope that it would help you with your own decision making. Alright, so let's get down to it. Do you need Sparkle? Well, there's really a lot of videos out there. I'm sure you've already seen quite a number of them as well regarding Sparkle, and how she's going to be cracked, she's going to be a game changer, and but I don't really doubt all of that. Okay, but even so, does that really justify the need for her? And if we do need her, what do we actually need her for? All right. So, in order to answer those questions, let's kind of quickly look into what we already know about her so far. All right. Yep. So first things first, she is a quantum harmony character. So right off the bat, that alone tells you that the monoquantum team is going to win from this, right? Okay. So if any of you who have been playing monoquantum teams, and if you are meaning monoquantum DPS, Sparkle would be like the person that you would be waiting for to kind of complete the comp. Okay, you already have your DPSs. Okay, it could be Sile, Jingxue, Xue and you have your debuffer, which is Silver Wolf. Okay, and your sustain, which is Fushan. Right, and now finally the buffer for the team is finally going to be here. Right, while this is also the obvious team comp for her. Okay, she won't exactly be cracked if that's all she's good for, right? And if only if she's going to be just tailor made for the Mono Quantum team. So, I mean, let's take a look and see what else she brings to the table, alright? Okay, because obviously is she's not just going to be good for the Mono Quantum team, right? So, when I took a look at it, overall in terms of like her kit, um, what she brings to the table it really can be condensed down to three parts. Alright, okay, number one, skill points. Okay, number two, her buffs. And number three, her action advance forward. This just generally sums up the whole entire kit. Okay, so for her skill points, right? Okay, so we just go category by category, right? So just for the skill points alone, all right, okay, just by Sparkle being there, what she does is that she will increase the limit of the number of skill points your team has from 5 points to 7 points. Alright, so that's the maximum number of skill points that your team can have. Originally, it will always be 5 points, and then this comes from a talent, so it will increase it to 7. Alright, okay. So when she does her ultimate, okay, she will give the team 4 skill points. That's quite a lot. Alright, so and also you also can get skill points from her technique. So when you use a technique before you go into battle, when you do enter battle, it will give you 3 skill points. Alright, so that's generally it for her skill point generation. Okay, so what about her buffs? Okay, since she is a harmony character, of course she's going to be coming with buffs, and she's going to be doing it in different ways from all over her kit. All right, okay. So from her talent, okay, all right. Every time an ally uses a skill point, okay, the team will get a damage buff. So I think this is similar because in some sense Misha's mechanic. Okay, I mean I just did a video about in regards to Misha, and it has this whole mechanic where anybody uses a skill point, there will be something that happens. So in this case, okay, as long as you have Sparkle, when a teammate uses a skill point, it will increase their damage by a certain amount. All right. Okay, I mean the multipliers and things like that have not been officially released. Okay, but at least we kind of know, like, how the kit functions, and then we can take a look to see, like, just off base that alone, whether you want to make a decision in regards to whether to pull for her or not. All right. Okay. So yeah, going back to her buffs. Okay. So, whenever for her talent, whenever an ally uses a skill point, the team will get a damage buff. Alright, okay. Whenever she uses her ultimate, okay, she will grant this thing called Cypher, which will increase the multipliers of the damage buff given by her talent. So basically, her talent will give her a damage buff, okay, and when she uses her ultimate, she'll buff the buff that the talent gives. Okay, so basically it's just increasing the multiplier. So the buff that you get will just have bigger numbers and has a bigger impact. All right, okay. Her traces actually gives the team attack buffs. Okay, and if you have quantum characters in the team, you will get corresponding number of attack buffs uh, for the content characters based on the number of content characters that you have on your team. All right. So basically, I think I'm not sure what the exact numbers, but the more characters you have, the bigger the attack buff you're gonna get. All right. However, the initial attack buff that you get, all right, that's not element specific. So even if you use sparkles on any other DPSs which is not quantum character, they will still get an attack buff. Just that, like, the perk of running a quantum team would that the buff would be bigger. All right. Okay. Her skill then would give a crit damage buff. All right. Okay. So, however, of course, that's all there is to her skill, and then it goes to the next part, which I earlier spoke about, which is the action advance forward. Okay. So her skill actually very much resembles Bronya in the way that, like, it advance forwards character's action value, while Bronya allows the character to go immediately next. Sparkle is only gonna advance forward about 50%. Alright? Okay. So it's not that there's no value to that. I think that's still quite good. Okay. Um, yeah, but we will do a little bit of a comparison later on to see whether that's gonna be a very big difference or not. Okay. Alright. Um, I am not gonna go into Sparkle's Eidolons today because for Eidolons it's a matter of how much more value do you want to get out of a character which you are already pulling for. Okay, and today's video is more about whether should you or should you not. So we really just gonna take a look at least in terms of like her base character, like a E0. Alright. Okay. So, in general, we've really kind of like covered her base kit. Okay, alright. So I didn't really want to go into too much details and things like that because I think for today it's really more of like that whole entire discussion. Okay, so we know what she does. Alright, okay. So, I mean, just from a big kit alone, do you all think that you still need her? Okay. So one of the things that you need to take into account is that, alright, what other harmony characters do you have? Okay. Firstly, do you have Brian? Alright. Do you also have Ranmei? I mean, I'm not going to speak on the other harmony characters, the four-star harmony characters, because I'm just taking a look to see, like, not that like the other four-star characters are like, shit or anything like that. I mean, of course you have like Ting Yan, which is like, excellent. She's almost like a 5 star. If not, like she's just a hidden 5 star in a 4 star shell kind of thing, and the rest are also good. You got like Hanya, which also gives skill points, right? But of course, it's not going to be as good as like Sparkle. But then I'm just gonna like kind of like focus on the 5 stars at this point of time, because I think at some level that is kind of like gonna like make or break the decision making process in regards to whether you're going to be pulling for her or not. Okay, based on whether do you really need or not. Okay, so okay, first and foremost, do you have Bronya? All right, okay, because from what we've seen so far, function wise, she's very similar to Bronya. Okay, the although Bronya's action advance forward is better, uh, however, it does come with some issues when you talk about like skill point management, because when you're using Bronya to consistently get the uh, action forward, the immediate action forward, okay, it becomes a very skill point hungry situation, especially when you are going to be pairing Bronya with DPSs like Sile, Imperial Lune, QQ, which needs a lot of skill points. Okay, and Sparkle actually resolves that. Like even though like her actually advance forward is less powerful than Bronya. Maybe because they don't really want to over like power creep her too much. So at one aspect of them like is Bronya is going to be better in this sense. Okay. Uh, but like what Sparkle does is that like she herself would resolve the issues that comes with having a very powerful uh, action advance forward, right? Uh, so even though it's going to be like 50%, like she's going to be generating enough skill points for the whole entire team to be able to make use of the action advance forward, right? However, like simply because it's not the whole 100%, okay, there might be some issues when it comes to speed tuning. I'm not too sure. Like, I'm not exactly a theory crafter, okay? Alright, but like, I can somehow like kind of anticipate that like, there might be some issues over there, okay? When it comes to speed tuning, but if you're not really going into like the nitty-gritty details, I don't think there's really too much of an issue. It's probably those that likes to like kind of like look into the tiny little details that it might possibly be a drawback. I'm not too sure. All right, but if you take a look at Sparkle's buffs, right? Okay, uh, buffs wise, Bronya is really cracked. Okay, Bronya brings like she can she can really up any of the DPS's damage, and like she has always been a very core component of the hypercarry team corp. Okay, and I think it's safe to say when you look at a kid, like Sparkle's buffs are going to be better than Bronya. Okay, so if you already have Bronya at this point of time, do you really need the power creeping Sparkle? I mean, it's not like Bronya is bad all of a sudden now that like Sparkle is here. So like outside of like very like the mono quarantine comps, like it's not as if you still can't use Bronya anymore. But it might be somewhat like of a foreshadowing of like maybe other characters that might come which would require a lot of skill points. Okay, I don't know about that, but like that is a possibility. Okay. Now the thing is, we haven't added Rami into the mix yet. Also, okay, we were just talking silly just about Bronya versus Rami. It has always is like when she was released, she was really a game changer. She made so many compositions outside of the hyper carry team comp perform just as well as a hyper carry, if not at times also better. Okay, so now when you consider, okay, if you had pulled for Runme, okay, and you have a Bronya, right? Do you really still need Sparkle? Because I mean, at this point in time, right, like when you kind of look at it that way, at least for me personally, I feel a little bit less incentivized to pull for Sparkle. Okay, yeah, simply because I mean, those two are already good enough, and unless you are looking at like uh, creating two hyper carry teams for like MOC or pure fiction or something like that, then you don't really necessarily need to, right? I mean, even for like MOC or for pure fiction, you can have one hyper carry team. If you already have Bronya, you can have Bronya with Tingyan or any of the other 4 stars. Okay, I'm not too sure about like putting Bronya and Sparkle together because I don't know. I just feel that it's going to be really messy. I'm not too sure whether that's going to be good because although it looks like it will be good, like Sparkle could kind of like keep they could like just keep alternating pulling the DPS character up and to keep going and going and going again. But I don't know. I just get this feeling that it's just really going to be really messy and it might not necessarily be very conducive. So, but then that one you kind of like have to wait for Sparkle to drop before knowing. So it's really kind of hard to say, right? Yeah. Okay. So when we look at it, right? Okay, is Sparkle going to be kind of like at the same level at where Runme is? Okay, so if you take a look at it, she's still generally still quite universal, but I mean not as much as Runme. I would say that like she would probably be still again similar to Bronya, probably more suited to hyper carry corps. Yeah, they can be used together, same like how Bronya and Runme can be used together. But I just feel that like it's somewhat of like a waste of like Rami's team buffs because Rami gives team buffs on like almost like everything. Okay, her skill, um, her talent, her ultimate, like everything. Like whereas like Bronya, Sparkle, their skill tends to be only for like a single character. So yeah, while you still can use them together, but generally I kind of feel like they might be better separate. Yeah. So if you ask me if it's just down to the how many characters, currently where I stand is that if you only have either Bronya or Runme, I say pull on Sparkle. I think that will be a good choice. Okay, because we already spoke about how like you need two teams anyway, and I think that would be quite beneficial. All right, but what about if you have both Runme and Bronya? Okay, after going through this, I personally would think that you can actually pass on Sparkle. All right, because this is kind of like where I'm at the moment. Because not only that, you also got to consider about what else is coming up next, okay? Because after Sparkle, you're gonna have been 2.1, and you already know who's coming out for 2.1, okay? You got Akron, which is somebody that's really highly anticipated, and seriously, I mean, if you have seen any of the footage about on her, she looks really sick. So, a lot of people are looking forward to her. I'm looking forward to her. Okay, which is, I think she kind of like, gave me this whole source of dilemma whether to like, pull Sparkle or not, because simply because she is going to be coming up next. Right, then there's also Adventuring. He's a imaginary preservation, and I would think that like he'll be very unique for a preservation character. So I think he should most probably be able to bring something else to the table. Um, as you all know, like right now they always run rerun characters, and I think the last few times it's been like two characters. So I think there's no official release in regard who is going to be the rerun characters. Uh, but yeah, if you know that you know lah, right? Okay, so then you also have to consider to see like whether those characters are gonna be a better fit for your account. Okay, but assuming if everything goes as scheduled, like by the time Sparkles drops, um, the 2.1 live stream will come up sometime soon. Okay, and probably you might want to hold off a little while until you get more information and then really decide then. Okay, all right. So, I mean, then when you talk about characters, then you gotta talk about team building as well to consider, right? Okay, whether you should be pulling for like and like we spoke about a kid. So then, who would be best benefit having her as the harmony character in your team, right? The first three DPS that I can think of that would benefit most from this, okay, and that would cause you to want to pull Sparkle as the harmony characters for these characters, okay, would be number one, Silly, right? Silly, when you proc her resurgence, it eats up scary amount of skill points. Okay, you can go skill, you kill, you skill again, and then your ultimate comes out, you pop her ultimate, she kills something else, and then her resurgence pops again, and then you use another skill. So that's three skill points. Okay, if you have like a Bronya together with her, and she brings Silly back up again, okay, well, chances are, well, you're gonna consume at least one or two more skill points, especially if you kill more people. All right, so that's really a lot of skill points. Okay, so just from the skill point alone, and well, she's gonna be very good with Sparkle. All right, and of course, like she's the only 5-star quantum DPS at the moment. Okay, so those that run quantum teams will usually have her on a team, and she can take advantage of the benefit from her trace, where like quantum characters that run together with Sparkle will get a damage boost as well. I think it's an attack percent boost. Yeah. All right. Okay. So then we have Qingque or QQ for short. Okay. This gambling girl definitely wants Sparkle because she's super skill point hungry due to her RNG factor, where you will need a lot of skill points to get more chances to roll her 4 of a kind to maximize the damage. Okay, so alright, and if I remember correctly, okay, because I mean I do have her built up, but I don't really use her that often. Alright, so when if I'm not wrong, when you use more of a skill point, she hits harder as well. Okay, so and she's also quantum, and from I think quite a number of showcases, you can actually see that like even though QQ is a 4-star, there have been many cases where QQ can actually even outperform Silly. So like if you're a QQ main, I think just for QQ, if you're really a hardcore QQ main, then you need Sparkle, because I think like yeah, QQ is not gonna QQ would definitely need Sparkle. Right. The last character which I feel that like would be best suited together with Sparkle would be in between. I always pronounce his name wrong. Lune, right? I have to always consciously slow down myself in order to pronounce his name. It's like some tongue twister or something. Anyway, yeah, he is another example of a really skill point hungry fella, DPS unit. Okay, because every single turn he will need 3 skill points to pop off his skill for really huge damage. And Sparkle is really the perfect harmony character to give him that, plus all the huge buffs that she's gonna provide for him, and he is really gonna pop off. Alright, okay. However, that's not to say like other DPS characters will not benefit from having Sparkle. It's just that these three I feel that will have the most impact from Sparkle's kit. Okay, so if you are a hardcore main of any of these three characters, I would say pull for Sparkle. Alright, okay. If not, I mean, you still can use Sparkle for the other DPSs. Yeah, and there might be future characters where like you would want that is going to consume a lot of skill points. Um, I'm sure it will keep happening and things like that. But and because of that, like Sparkle would definitely be somebody that would be good for your team. Okay. However, like there will of course be other factors like team compositions that will decide whether you pull for Sparkle. However, to sum up this whole video, I feel that it just boils down to main things. Okay. Number one, which harmony characters do you already have? Okay, and number two, which DPS characters do you want to use her with? Okay, for me, I already have Bronya and Ruanmei. And for DPS characters, well, I started out as a huge Monocondom fan. I have Celia, I have QQ, okay, I have Qingxue, they're all built up, right? Okay. However, I transited to like more diverse team comps, involving primarily top teams. I mean that's like my favorite comp at the moment. Okay, and also with like follow up teams as my roster grew. Okay, and for anything else, I still have the hyper carry team option. I mean, my Brian is fully built. Okay, and with respective elemental DPS characters built for any content. Okay, with the corresponding elemental weakness. Okay, I mean, I specifically built Misha for that. Okay, because I was just only lacking ice DPS. I have DPS characters for every other element. Okay, yeah. So and I don't have MBB Teluni. Okay, yeah, I had to say it slowly again. So do I know Sparkle? Sadly, right? Okay. From this whole line of questioning for this video, I come to realize no, I don't. Okay, I really don't. Sadly, it's because I actually do like the character design, and I was a big Monocondom fan. But no, and while I do feel that like Sparkle is gonna be cracked, I have more than enough at the moment. I think I just want to save up for Acheron, which is probably coming up next, and I might consider pulling for Sparkle in her rerun. So I think for myself, that's going to be what I'm going to be doing. What about you? I don't know. Do you need Sparkle? All right. Okay. Let me know in the comments whether you're going to be pulling for Sparkle. Yeah, like after going through the whole entire thing. Okay. If you like this kind of content, leave a like, subscribe for more content like this in the future, and thank you very much for watching. And I will see you in the next video. All right. Take care, guys.